All right, so this is actually like the eighth time I've tried to record this thing, and every single time something stinking goes wrong, and it's driving me crazy. All right, this bum, 630, evil life order, lose two. Your attack with a printed three or less gets +2. Next attack gets +2. Important thing to note is that the first +2 applies on the printed three or less. The second one is just going to go on regardless. Okay, so keep that in mind. Once per turn after a non-powerful attack is played, that attack gets throw. After it resolves, added to its own momentum face up. That's his best ability. Don't overlook it. Okay? Desperation, you lose 2. Your attack gets an additional +2. Lackluster desperation ability, but it's adding on to what he already does really well, and it just makes him more lethal at what he already does. So it's acceptable. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, let's go back to that R, though. Once per turn after a non-powerful attack is played. That works on both your attacks and your opponent's attacks, and it functions different depending on how you do it. So for your stuff, because you're putting raw damage, you're just putting these numbers on things, giving something throw is just making sure that you're always going to get that damage through. You have the luxury of running the low speed, higher damage attacks if you wanted to put a bit of extra damage on them, or you can, obviously he wants to run stuff that's 3 or less, push it up to 7, give it throw, deal 4. That's good too, right? And then it turns into snap momentum that you get instantly after it resolves. Fantastic. But on your opponent's turn now, why it's great is that any attack that has an effect in the card pool, any attack that, or any combo sequence, you can mess with that. Stuff like Skull Barrier, you can mess with just anything that you don't want to actually deal with while it's sitting in a card pool. You don't have to anymore because you can just give it throw, take some of the chip damage, and then get rid of it. It goes into their momentum. You don't have to worry about it. I mean, unless they're fueling stuff with it, which sucks. But if it's going to save your life, who cares, right? It's a very flexible ability. Because his life loss cost on his damage pump is a bit high, part of what you might want to do with him is, like I said, if you're using his R on your opponent's stuff and you find that you're having to do that more often, you might want to lay off the lose 2 a little bit so that you can take some of the throw damage that they're going to be throwing at you, literally and figuratively, right? You can kind of alternate between that more defensive strategy or the more offensive strategy of putting damage on your own throws. Both ways you're going to be paying life. So I'm actually really glad that he's got such a large vitality, because it really, he needs it. He needs it just to do what he needs to do. And I always kind of want these vitality characters that have higher natural vitality, and I feel like they should, because they're just going to be murdering themselves so quickly, right? The E lose 2, your attack with a printed 3 or less gets +2, next gets +2. Because of the your next attack, he really wants to be playing long strings. And the printed damage of 3 or less, you almost also need to make sure that you're running low difficulty stuff, because he wants to be playing longer strings, because you want to be pushing out these bigger things and not having to commit too much resources to it, if you're going to optimize how many numbers you get off your life loss, right? If we're going for efficiency's sake. That's not always the wisest decision. It just depends on your build, depends on how you want to work with him, depends on how you want to do these different things. But whenever I have he's good though. I actually really like this character's design. He has damage, and he has a delivery method. And on top of that, his delivery method also has a utility effect on it. And because it's a life loss, he can also put himself into desperation, which there's a lot of desperation effects in the game right now, and he has access to many of them. So his abilities work well together, clear path to victory. He's got multiple ways that you can get there, and he has an adaptive playstyle. All good things. All good things out of a rock solid character. Is he incredible? Is he top tier? I don't think so. He might make some pretty decent placings, but I don't know if he's going to run around winning nationals or anything like that. He might. I can't say that it's impossible. If some really high skilled if a high skilled player falls in love with him, it might happen, but really solid. Watch out for this guy. Better than he's far better than he looks on first glance. Trust me. Like, look at the guy. He's holding a heart, right? Probably just beat you to death with a heart. That's how much this guy doesn't care. See, I know nothing about Mortal Kombat. That's what makes this funny. Anyways, till the next one.